Hi everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. This is Fiona at Drawings in a Drawer. I wanted to thank my patrons for their ongoing support. Some of them have been around for quite a while, and a few of them have been requesting this specific portrait for a while, so I thought I'd make a video of it. I will have the full-length tutorial on Patreon starting from the $5 a month tier upwards. And I will have the shorter version here on YouTube. You can join my Patreon and have immediate access to all my previous tutorials, narrated full-length tutorials, just by accessing the $5 tier upwards, or €5, and you can find the link to that in the description box. But now let's talk about this portrait, and let's talk about what it's all about. This portrait is rather whimsical, and after a while I'd been looking at it and repainting it because it's, let's say, a new version of an older one. I realized that the hair looked a lot like a galaxy. That is why I called it Watercolour Galaxy Hair, even though my intention was not to paint stars or paint a galaxy in her hair, but it just turned out looking this way because I wanted to relax and just have fun while I was painting this, so I let things happen naturally, so to speak. This is a very simple portrait. I kept it kind of basic. I didn't use a lot of layers in the face. I kept the eyes very simple. Usually I work a lot trying to convey as much intensity as I can in the eyes. I just wanted to keep it very simple here because I really loved her smile, and it really has a positive vibe for me, and I wanted that to come across. So I started off painting with this grey by Sennelier. I can't remember the exact name of it. If you don't have a grey, you can usually obtain one by mixing yellow ochre or raw sienna with a violet. You can obtain some kind of dove greys with that mixture, so that is an idea if you don't have it. But I remember starting off with this very colour for my original portrait of this, or for the first one, so I just did the same thing. So I kept things very simple, as I've said, and very painterly, which means that you will be able to see my brush strokes and dollops of paint, which you can usually see anyway in my paintings. But here everything is really quite basic, quite simple, and I also think quite easy to follow. For the hair, I worked wet and wet, and I just used some burnt umber and then added some ultramarine blue on top of that. I really like how these colours work together. Not only do they look really nice together, but at the same time they are very useful if you want to kind of increase the intensity of your value and if you want darker values, and it looks very natural. I sometimes even mix these two colours to obtain a transparent black rather than picking up black straight from the watercolour pan. I think it just looks nicer this way. And then I went and added some more of that grey that I kind of used as an underpainting to the longer strands of hair, and went on adding more blues all around the hair. Over to the other side of the face, I used cobalt green, which I think is an absolutely gorgeous colour, and I really like the way it looks in this painting. I did not use this in the original one, but I thought, you know, every painting that you recreate, you just feel like you have to change something up, otherwise it can get boring to repeat the same thing, even though no two paintings are exactly the same. No matter how hard you try to do that, you won't get to paintings that are exactly the same. But at the same time, I just feel like I want to experiment more when I'm recreating something that I've already done in the past. I I got very whimsical with the hair in this one. Not only, as I said, did I paint it very puddly, but I also allowed for some drips to go in different directions, not only downwards, which is what I usually do, but in this painting they also go like sideways and upways, and they end up connecting almost like branches. And I just tilt my block of watercolor paper a little bit to allow the water to flow where it wants to go. I then add some darker colors like indigo and neutral tint just to add those pops of color. And you will see that by the end of the painting, the hair just really ends up looking very interesting with these mixes of color and the way that the water dries naturally. I also let some water flow beyond the outline of the hair and let it be quite random, and it ended up looking really nice, if I say so myself. I picked up some Ecoline liquid watercolors because I'm sure that I used this in the first painting I did of this reference image. And I'm just wanting to remind you, I have a video about liquid watercolors up on my channel, so maybe you want to watch that. Liquid watercolors behave very differently compared to regular watercolors. For example, they don't lift at all, basically. So before using them, I think you should watch that, or at least try them on a scrap piece of paper. When water has decided where it wants to puddle or create hollows in the paper, there's not much you can do to make it change its mind. But let's say you can press your large brush down quite hard and firmly on your paper and maybe add some extra sprinkles of water to make things even wetter. And sometimes that will help you kind of shift the flow of water in another direction. I picked up this Pigma brush pen. I think it's burnt umber. I don't think it says on it, but anyway, it's archival ink. And sometimes I like to use these as it's almost a shortcut. I don't have to wait till the end of the painting to go in with a thicker paint and the details like eyelashes or the rim of the eyelashes or what's not, and then I can paint over this with watercolor and it won't reactivate and it won't create mud. If you do this, just make double sure that these are archival, that they're water resistant, so to speak, so that if you go over them with your wet brush, you will not create a mess. I used white acrylic not only for the highlights in the eyes and lips, but also to go in and add a star in the hair and splatters, which kind of created that galaxy effect, especially in that intense background. If you want the full tutorial of this, going on Patreon, you will have access to it and to all the ones I've done in the past. And it will also be a really nice way to support me as an artist. So if you want to check it out, it's in the link down below. Otherwise, you can just stay here on YouTube and wait for my next video next week on Friday. See you then and have a great week. Bye.